May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this metta thought, friends, let us focus mind on the answers to the questions that Brian will read for me.
Okay. First question. If Venerable Kamika attained full enlightenment when he rid himself of asmimana, and avijja is the last fetter that tethers one to samsara, please explain the difference between residual avijja that persists at anagami stage and asmimana.
Avidya, so long as he had asmimana, there is also asava anusaya. You learn in the Paticca Samuppada, asava samudaya, avidya samudayo. Asava nirodha, avidya nirodho. So long as he had the lingering notion of I, or notion of I am, to that degree and extent, he had the underlying tendency called asava, and even subtler, more subtle tendency is called anusaya. And these are the cause of ignorance, which triggers or activates his notion of I am asmimana. So that is when he got rid of his notion of I at the attainment of stream entry, and that was reinforced all through until he came to anagami level, and then still he has overcome the gross part of I consciousness, gross part. But the subtle part remains there because of the subtle anusaya and asava. When he got rid of the notion of the subtlest part of notion of self, then that notion of I am, anusaya, and avidya, residual avidya, all vanished. So three things happened at the full attainment of arahanthood. That is, underlying tendency of anusaya and ignorance, and subtlest form of I notion, I am notion. So that is how his mind was perfectly clear of all these underlying tendencies, asmi, mana, and avidya. That is how it happened. That is what he, in his simile of putting the laundry that the laundryman returned, he, the owner of the laundry would put it in a perfume chamber or room, box or chest, to get rid of the smell of the detergent that the Dhobi or clothes washing man used, washer used. This chamber is so clean and pure that all the residues of smell, odor vanished. When you open it, after a while, he took it out, it is all gone, disappeared. That chamber or chest is impermanence. He put it in the impermanence chamber. Impermanent, I use it as a metaphorically, that figuratively there is no particular chamber, of course, to say, chamber per se, but impermanence, perfect awareness of impermanence is like that. And that is why the Buddha used the simile of sunlight. When the sunlight arises, all the darkness will vanish. So seeing impermanent perfectly is very bright, very clear. It is very much like sunlight. Impermanent is the thing out of all other parts of meditation to use as the last blow to avidya, mana, all armies of Mara, all in the face of impermanence, completely vanish, disappears. So that awareness of impermanence is so powerful. That is what we must cultivate through the practice of vipassana meditation. Meditation we call insight meditation. Impermanence we see, practice impartially, with equanimity, without any trace of emotion. The mind must see impermanence of mind, impermanence of aggregates, impermanence of everything so clearly. Friends, that is not very easy. Sometimes when we get involved in that, we may fall asleep. Doesn't matter. The moment we realize that we have fallen asleep, wake up and again start seeing impermanence. Then one moment, one day, everything will be 100% clear in our mind and all the defilements will be vanished. Okay, that is what happened to Venerable came in the, what you call Kemaka. Yeah.
Okay, next question. How should we understand why there is so much suffering and unhappiness in the world? So many trillions of lives having such difficulties and pain. It seems overwhelming.
That is why Buddha said everything is suffering. Existence itself is suffering. There is no one single incident, individual, place that is totally free from suffering. This is very profound teaching. I think you just hit the nail on the spot, right spot. Buddha said, because I have taught the suffering and ending suffering. Many people do not like to hear that. But you understood perhaps in your meditation, that billions of trillions of beings exist in the world. This is, of course, very profound awareness. That is true. That is true. Trillions of beings exist in the world. If you take each one of them separately, if you live long enough to go to see all of them individually, you will see all of them have suffering. Not somebody caused their suffering. They themselves create their own suffering because of ignorance and greed. And they are victim of their own ignorance and craving. And that is why, if, as I want to repeat the same answer million times, if we see impermanence exactly as it is, we will be very close to gaining that deepest insight to get rid of our suffering. Suffering does not belong to me. It is just there because of the ignorance and greed existing in this existence, this so-called life. In this life, as long as greed and ignorance are there, as long as impermanence is not 100% clear, suffering is there. So, we cannot blame anybody, nor can they blame anybody else or themselves, but all they have to do is to look at the same scenario, same predicament, coming and going, rising and falling, and trying to hold on to it. Friction builds up. That friction causes pain, suffering. So see the mechanism of suffering. Mechanism of suffering, sometimes it appears to be automated. But it is not automated, because there are various factors coming together without our awareness. So, if it has autopilot, then there has to be a way to stop the cruise controller in the vehicle. And then the cruise controller is mindfulness. And then immediately become aware of, yes, it is not permanent, so let it go. Friends, in this material world, it is almost impossible for people to come to this realization. But whoever privately, quietly, secretly comes to this realization will be totally free from suffering. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante. If there is mindfulness, can contact be stopped before it goes to another contact by having equanimity feeling or neutral feeling?
No. Is that the end of the question?
I think that's the end of the question, and then there's a second question.
Okay. If there is what mindfulness,
If there is mindfulness,
huh?
can contact be stopped before it goes to another contact by having equanimity feeling or neutral feeling?
No. You cannot stop contact. It is a wrong notion. Contact, the senses, sensory objects, consciousness, when these three are present, contact is there. If you are mindful, you understand the eye is impermanent, or visual objects are impermanent, consciousness is impermanent, contact is impermanent. You cannot stop contact, but you must see the contact impermanent. That means all these four factors are impermanent, everything. And therefore, let contact happens. What happens when contact happens? Feeling arises. Then the desire arises, and so forth. So, we don't stop them happening. We cannot stop them happening. What we can stop is the desire or clinging, craving to hold on to them. When in Paticca Samuppada, we learn Phassa Nirodha, Vedana Nirodho. Phassa Nirodha, Vedana Nirodho. That means when contact ceases, feeling ceases. But you cannot stop contact, or you cannot force the contact to cease by being mindful. What you can do with mindfulness there is that this contact takes place and next moment it disappears. So the feeling also doesn't come along that from that particular contact. Everything that follow the contact will also stop when you understand the impermanent nature of contact. That's what you can do with mindfulness. But you cannot stop contact itself. You cannot understand it. You can understand it, and it happens, and let it go. And then what happens? Your mind becomes so clear, pure, and will not make any effort to grasp the contact moment. It happens and it slips away from your grasp. But you cannot stop contact. Contact itself, contact disappears. You can notice the disappearance of contact, but you cannot stop contact. Okay, that is the answer to that question.
Thank you, Bhante. I think we have a very important question here. Bhante, please explain which senses should I focus on when doing Vedana Nupassana in sitting down meditation?
uh, which sense you should contact when you have feelings?
Yes, which senses should she focus on when practicing Vedana Nupassana?
Vedananupassana, it is the Sukhang Vedanang Vedyamano, like that. When pleasant sensation arises, we focus the mind on the pleasantness. Pleasantness may arise through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. So the focus is on the pleasantness of that particular feeling, pleasant, unpleasant or neutral, whatever, wherever it arises. We, according to the discourse, we pick one particular feeling, particular Vedana, and we focus the mind on that Vedana. It can arise through the eye, so we don't keep paying attention to one particular sense. Wherever Vedana arises, mind goes there. Vedana, I use the word Vedana for feeling. Wherever feeling, whenever, in whatever intensity, pleasantness, unpleasant or neutral, whatever feeling we experience, its degree, the place, and its quality, all we notice in where it arises. Where it, in the Buddha never mentioned that we must focus mind on one particular sense when certain feeling arises. He asks us to focus the mind on that particular feeling. And that particular feeling you cannot artificially create in the eye, ear, nose, or forehead, on the top of your head, and chest and legs and so forth. These are artificial things. Feeling does not arise like that. We try to focus the mind on the feeling when it naturally arises, wherever it arises. For instance, the feeling arises on the body, particular part of the body, knees, thigh, calf, buttocks, head, hand, wherever. Wherever, whenever it arises, you don't have to do anything to notice it. Mind goes the right way. Mind goes the right way. When you are feeling painful feeling on your knee, you don't have to make a special effort to focus the mind on the knee. Mind goes naturally to that feeling. When it disappears, mind knows that it is gone, disappeared. Pleasant sensation. Pleasant sensation may not arise in one particular place. It arises in your mind and body as a whole. For instance, peaceful feeling. It's a very pleasant. Peaceful feeling is not concentrated on one particular part of the body. Mainly we experience peaceful feeling in the mind. Peaceful is a pleasant feeling. Equanimous feeling also does not arise in particular part of the body. equanimous feeling is in the state in the mind. So whenever we feel, whatever feeling we have, mind goes there, except painful feeling. Painful feeling arises in particular part of the body, then the mind goes there. Other two kinds of feeling, pleasant and neutral or equanimous feeling, arise in the mind. However, a pleasant feeling can be arising through the eye, ear, nose, and so forth by remembering objects. When we remember something that we really enjoyed, we remember seeing a pleasant object. That can be a person or animal or place or scene or whatever. Through that experience, through that memory, pleasant sensation arises. And that pleasant sensation, though it arises through the eye, you experience in your mind. Unpleasant sensation also like that. So, again, Niramisa, non-carnal, that means pleasant, unpleasant, neutral sensation can arise without greed, hatred, and delusion. Seeing impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness. Pleasant sensation arise, painful sensation arise, neither pleasant nor painful sensation arise, without greed, hatred, and delusion, that arise also in the mind. So it is not easy for one to pick one particular place to focus the mind on the particular feeling. Only feeling with greed, hatred, and delusion, that's a carnal feeling, can, when it arises in the body, we can notice it. If it is non-carnal, when you meditate, you have pain on your knees, then if you are really mindful, you don't let hatred or anger, resentment arise along with that painful feeling on the knees. You rather see that painful feeling with mindfulness to see how it slowly fades away, how it becomes impermanent. Even then, from that painful feeling, you don't have a pain in the mind, you rather see some pleasure by seeing impermanence. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante.
All right, I think that is all time we have today.
Could I just clarify?
Yeah.
So you used the word feeling a lot, and I think people sometimes, English speakers sometimes get confused because sometimes feeling can refer to sensations, physical sensations in the body, and sometimes feeling can refer to emotions. It sounds like from your answer that it can be both.
Right. I think I mentioned early in one of the earlier talks that in Buddhism, seldom can we see the distinction between physical feeling and emotions. However, we can see for mental feeling we use the words somanassa, domanassa, upekha. Physical feeling we use the word sukha, dukkha, adukkama sukha. Physical feeling either sukha, dukkha, adukkama sukha. Mental feeling is called somanassa, domanassa, upekha. This kind of distinction is there, and yet all of them fall under the category of feeling. In Satipatthana Sutta, feeling section, mindfulness of feeling, it simply talks about, use only the word Vedana. Under Vedana, all these uh, details, categories fall under Vedana. So the word Vedana covers almost all kind of feelings, sensations, emotions, and so forth. As for yes, it is in Western psychology, they are separated, emotions and feelings. But in this teaching, Buddha's teaching, all put together and label them feeling. Okay?
Thank you for that clarification, Bhante.
Oh, thank you for asking the question. If you didn't ask the question, I would not try to explain it in this way. Although I did it in the past, people tend to forget because they are so used to one cultural usage over the other.
Right.
Now, friends, today we started late because it is none of our faults. Maybe for the better, the computer, Apple company or producer did something to update our computers. So we had to wait until the update was over. That's why there was little delay. Anyway, we want to end this session. There are currently many people suffering in hospitals with this COVID-19, and we want to wish them rapid recovery, return to normal life, continue their practice, live long in good health, and liberate themselves from all sufferings. And there are many doctors, nurses, hospital staffs to take care of these people. May they continue their very wonderful, compassionate service without themselves being affected by this virus, and they continue their wonderful service and live long to do so and practice Dhamma and attain liberation. There are many people who have lost their wonderful relatives, loved ones, and they may be grieving. I hope that their grieving is over, and continue their Dhamma practice in peace and happiness to understand the truth and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. There are many leaders who have been helping people, and we want to wish them to continue their service for the benefit of all. And there are many, we heard them, some vaccine has been invented and experimented, and they are working. I hope that will come very soon to for anybody to use to overcome this suffering. We want to wish them success for the benefit of everybody. And those people, very generous people, who can afford to support those projects, they have resources. Fortunately, they have built up their resources, and some of them are very generous, and we want to wish them to continue their generosity to support these projects for the benefit of all human beings. With this wish, I want to end this session and thank you for participating in and helping us to do this service.